One of the coolest things about Starfield is the space exploration. You being able to take your spaceship absolutely anywhere in the entire universe. You see a planet off in the distance, you're able to fly over, and you can even land. That's amazing. But of course, you're not the only one doing this. And that's why you need to make sure that you have your weapons ready, because whilst on your journey, you will come across other spaceships, and they're unlikely to be friendly. This is everything that you need to know about your spaceship and space combat. So to begin with, let's actually go over building your spaceship, because Starfield is supported by a full ship customization system. And I'm not just talking about upgrading a few parts here or there and being able to change up the full color scheme. You can build whatever it is you want to build. There are options for you to buy already pre-built ships so that you don't go into the customization side. You could just buy what's already there, and it's likely that at the start of this game, that is what you will have to do, as you won't have enough credits to actually build your very own. But towards the later end of the game, you will be able to go into the full ship customization, and ship parts will be broken down into the cockpit, engine, tank, lander, cannons, modules, reactors, and control stations. But how you put these together really is entirely up to you. We've seen some fairly small ships, we've seen some large ships, and we've seen some very interesting ships. You can place any of these parts and any of these structures anywhere, but you must take into consideration the stats that they're also going to bring with them. Of course, you need to focus on the price, as if you keep on adding the most expensive stuff, it's going to be a very expensive ship. But there's also another 11 pieces of essential data that you need to take a look at. This is LAS, ball, MSL, hull, shield, cargo, crew, jump range, mobility, top speed, and mass. And those acronyms stand for laser, ballistic, and also missiles, which are all three of the weapon types within game. Depending on the module and structures that you add to your ship will depend on the stats within these areas. Of course, by adding extra modules for your crew will increase the amount of crew members that you can have on your ship, but then with that, it'll also increase the total weight, being the mass. And if it's increasing the total mass, then it may also reduce your overall top speed. This is what you need to take into consideration, and depending on how you build your ship will depend on the type of playstyle that you're going for. Now the good news is that you are able to have multiple ships if you wish to do so. These will all be added to your very own fleet, and as of right now, we don't have an exact number of how many you can have within a fleet. We've seen some numbers which say 9, others say 11, and because they're odd numbers, chances are that could go a hell of a lot higher. But you will only be able to have one at any given moment, as in one using out and about. Now that we've gone over the customization side of things, this is where it now feeds into combat. All combat options will be within your space HUD. You will be able to see this whilst being in your cockpit. One of the more important elements of this is the mechanic of you being able to adjust your power supply wherever you are. Depending on your situation will depend on where you want to reallocate power. If you're just traveling or potentially doing a grav jump, you may want to go and put all your power within engine, as this will mean that you're able to get more out of it. But if you're getting into combat, you're going to want to use more of your power within some of your weaponry, being your lasers, your missiles, or even your ballistic. That is if you do want to actually get into combat. You could also improve your shield so that you're going to take less damage, or you could even improve your engine yet again and try to escape. You need to understand that by adding power to certain areas will also take power away from other areas. So this is where you need to be real strategic. If you're wanting to go all in guns blazing and want to take out your enemies, then you're going to want to put these under any type of weaponry. The targeting system for this is quite simple. You will move and aim the reticle over an enemy ship and fire your blasters. To make things a bit easier, there is also a target lock system. For this, you need to first lock on to your enemy by actually hovering over, getting the bar to be full 100%, and then you'll press the X button, which is then the button for the target lock. This will now lock onto the enemy vessel. Now, of course, the enemy spaceship is not just going to stay there. They're going to try to evade you. And as they're moving about, going left, right, up and down, doing loop-the-loops, whatever it may be, the more they evade you, the lower that percentage will be on the target lock, meaning that there's an increased chance of you actually missing. That's why you want to keep this percentage as close to 100% as possible. Depending on how you've customized your ship and the weaponry that you've applied to it will depend on what you're able to use here, but the overall goal, no matter what you're using, is to get a critical hit. You'll need to do this by weakening the enemy shields, so you'll just keep on firing over and over again, take down their shield's power, and that is when you're firing directly at the ship, which will then cause hull damage. Shoot it enough times and also in the right spots, that is when you can completely destroy them. If you hit something like the engine or the reactor, you will get a critical hit. They will either completely blow up, destroy, or you're able to stop them. And for some of these spaceships, depending what they are and how badly you've shot them up, you will be able to board them. Just know, out of both of these options, whether you completely destroy them or you're going to board them, you will be able to get loot as well as resources out of it. Destroying it means that loot is just going to go off into space. You can then fly through the destruction and pick up any remaining resources left around. But of course, know that by destroying a ship, even though it's easier, you're also going to be destroying some of the resources. So what could have potentially been on offer is now going to be reduced. To keep those resources intact, you need to take the time to actually board the enemy ship. Now the combat comes down to what you're able to do, the weapons that you have, the health that you have, any special skills or abilities. You'll need to gunfight your way through to the control center. This is where you'll be able to take over the vessel, and you've then got a few other things that you're able to do with this. It's no longer just about collecting resources, although you can do that. You also have the ship itself, which you can then decide whether or not you want to add to your very own fleet. Adding it to your fleet will cost a pretty penny. This is so that you don't go around stealing every single ship, adding it to your fleet without it costing anything, and then just selling it on despite murdering and slaughtering full crews just for you to go and get it. So you will need to spend money in order for you to make money. But of course, by doing this, you can add it to your fleet, and you can then also sell this on later for profit. That is if you do want to sell it. You could just add it to your fleet, keep it there, or even upgrade it. Treat it like it's your very own. But if you do that as well, it also means that you're going to still need to spend quite a bit of money, as you'll need to go and find crew members and officers in order to manage it. But by boarding, you have more choices, more resources to gain, a full ship where you can control, and lots of decisions. Destroying it will give you a fraction of the resources that would be available, but at the exact same time, it's a lot quicker, and depending where you are within game, as in progression wise, as also wealth wise, will also depend on your options later on. Sounds like at the beginning of the game, it makes more sense to destroy unless there's story elements involved within the spaceship itself. Now, with everything that we've gone through, it is the basic premise of spaceships and space combat, but there is an extra layer to this where you do still have a skill tree. As you progress through game, you will unlock skill points, and those skill points can be used for, you guessed it, skills. This is for your character, but also can be for various other parts that do cross over into your very own spaceship. This does improve, for example, targeting, which we did mention earlier. This is a skill that you can unlock. And there will be loads of skills available so that you can yet again have a playstyle within your spaceship that suits what you want to do and what you want to achieve. But anyway, this is currently everything that we know about space combat within Starfield. If you enjoyed this video, then I highly recommend clicking the next video on screen. YouTube has tracked exactly what you enjoy watching, and they believe that this video is perfect for you. So click that video and I'll be over there to guide you through absolutely everything.